or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at a whole bunch of new Pokemon cards. Depends how you really measure this. By one measure, we've actually got 9 new cards we're talking about today. By another, arguably more accurate measure, we've actually got 4. Either way, time to get excited, and the full reveal should be this weekend, so there are going to be a lot more new cards we talk about over the next couple of days. For now, I want to start off with a couple that could be really kind of fun, starting with Dunsparce. Now, I really like Dunsparce. And in fact, I was playing Pokemon Y last night, and I'm fairly sure I ran into Tiano just after I got the Snorlax. I'm fairly sure I ran into Tiano and he said something like, "Have you seen Dunsparce?" And that's weird because Dunsparce was revealed yesterday, and I've just realised that connection. It's a little bit freaky and I'm not sure I'm okay with it. Dunsparce is weak and rubbish, low HP and all of that, but then again, you do have Level Ball nowadays, so that's something to be a little bit excited about. But the other thing is, oh yeah, it's also got terrible attack, right? 2 energy, 30 damage. Let's not worry too much about that. But it's got a really nice ability. And the ability says, colourless Pokemon in play have no weakness. Now this is all colourless Pokemon in play. It does not say your opponent's colourless Pokemon in play. It does not say your colourless Pokemon in play. It just says colourless Pokemon in play. I should mention all our translations here come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, of whom we are a rather large fan. And basically, if you are playing any kind of colourless deck in the future, this is one you need to consider very highly. Now, it gets a little bit awkward, because generally speaking, colourless decks are going to be weak to fighting. So, one of the things you're really going to want to try and get protection from is Rapid Strike Urshifu, but Rapid Strike Urshifu can hit 120 to 2 bench Pokemon. This has 60 HP and Mew was our only bench barrier and that just rotated out. So you are in this kind of awkward position whereby what you need to protect yourself against Rapid Strike Urshifu is in and of itself going to be extremely vulnerable to Rapid Strike Urshifu, and I'm not sure I have an answer to that, and I'm sorry, but I'm not terribly worried, because that's just the snapshot of the format we're in at the moment. At the moment, nobody really wants to play colourless Pokemon. Colourless Pokemon aren't that great. But the fact of the matter is that in the future they could be. Take something like Snorlax V Max. It's not the world's best card, and it's not proven to be an absolute game changer. But by the same token, it's got 340 HP, which is as high as we've seen. With a full bench, you do 210 for free colourless energy. And if you can have no weakness as well, that could be kind of cool. I worry about it being vulnerable on the bench to Rapid Strike Urshifu, but the idea of giving me a 340 HP Pokemon that has no weakness, that sounds pretty enticing to me, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds pretty enticing indeed. I'm going to go ahead and give Dunsparce 4 Wassies. I think there is an awful lot of potential here. Speaking of an awful lot of potential, might I introduce you to Skate Park? Skate Park is awesome. Skate Park says whenever a Pokemon retreats, if basic energy is discarded to pay that retreat cost, that basic energy isn't discarded and returns to that player's hand instead. Can anyone remember the Pokemon tool that did this? Because most people don't, and I feel pretty proud of myself for remembering this one. It is the almost saw no play whatsoever Dashing Pouch, which was a tool that did exactly that. And I don't know if this is going to be good. But the fact of the matter is, we've got decks out there like Frosmoth, like Cherim, that allow you to attach as much energy from your hand during your turn as you like. So with this stadium, what you'll be able to do is skate on back home, and then you'd get the energy, but then immediately be able to reattach it, which would be awesome. Now, side note with Frosmoth here, remember Frosmoth only lets you attach to benched Pokemon, so you retreat, the energy goes back to your hand, but then you need to put something active, and you can't then put energy on the active, which does get a little bit awkward, I am sorry. It doesn't give you free retreat, it doesn't lower your retreat, you still have to retreat. You still have to pay the retreat cost, so I think this works best in decks where you do have that extra energy attachment, like we've seen with something like Frosmoth and Cherim, but I could absolutely see this seeing a bunch of play in the right kind of deck. It is not for every deck, let's be clear, but in some decks it is, and therefore I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. I know Dashing Pouch didn't really see any play, but then again it was a Pokemon tool and stadiums are generally easier to use. Some of you may notice that on Skate Park there is a very deliberate image of a skateboard just sitting right there. Is that a hint that a skateboard is coming back? On the one hand, it could be. I don't know. It could be. On the other hand, if you were drawing art for a skate park for the Pokemon TCG, you probably would include a skateboard, right? That's the kind of thing you would just put on there naturally. So the honest answer is, I don't know. Hey, speaking of Frosmoth, we've got ourselves a new Frosmoth card. But it's not one of them there are ones that likes attaching energy. It's an attacking Frosmoth. And this is one of those ones that I really would like to be good. I would be very happy if this could be a very good card. I'm just not sure that it is. Now, we've got 90 HP, which is very low, but it does give access to level ball, so it's not the end of the world. And to be fair, it's in line with the other one. We've then got 1 colorless energy sleep. No. It's a stage 1. If you have taken the time and effort to evolve your Pokemon, you deserve better. 2 water, 1 colorless energy, 160 damage. Return all energy attached to this Pokemon to your hand. And I do kind of like this, but 160 is not a key number. I like the fact that I can get the energy back into my hand, because clearly, right, you need the other Frosmoth to accelerate the energy, and they're the same evolution line because they're Frosmoth, so blatantly I can reattach the energy. That's rather lovely. My problem here, and it is a rather large problem, I'm afraid, my problem is that 160 doesn't do enough. Like, it'll get single prize Pokemon, but you're not even at the stage where you're getting a one-hit KO on a Crobat V, or a Kricketune V, those weak support Pokemon. And if I'm not even getting a one-hit KO on weak support Pokemon, I cannot recommend this. I'm giving it between 2 and 3 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. It's not good. It does, however, come with a new Snom. Now, Snom here, it's got a rather nice attack for 1 water energy that searches your deck for 2 water energy and puts them into your hand. Bearing in mind, you then evolve up into Frosmoth and you can attach them right away. We've also got lovely artwork by Yukamori with the little model that I know a lot of people are big fans of. Here's the problem. It's got 40 HP. You cannot play a 40 HP Pokemon nowadays. Yes, I know any other Snom you might play is only going to have 50 HP. I don't care. You cannot play a 40 HP Pokemon right now because Inteleon. Inteleon is everywhere. It's one of the most played cards in the game, and it lets you drop 2 damage counters once during your turn per Inteleon. So 2 Inteleon, and that is not unrealistic, means that you bench a Snom, it gets KO'd for a prize. You literally cannot play a 40 HP Snom nowadays, not unless you're cool with always losing. Hey ho. But we do have a new Butterfree, and I like this new Butterfree. It's got 120 HP, which is obviously horrendous for a stage 2. If this was on a basic, I'd be like, well, I want 130, because things like Rapid Strike Urshifu can hit 120 to the bench. But you give it to me on a stage 2? No. And the 2 energy 90 damage is trash. It's rubbish. You're not even getting a one-hit KO on Umbreon V, let alone the V Max. You're not getting a one-hit KO on Umbreon V. We need better. We need better here. However, we do have an ability, and the ability here is awesome. When you evolve up into this Pokemon, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned, and burned, and confused. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now I am kind of a lot more excited about this. You evolve up and you get burn, which puts 2 damage counters on, then they have to flip a coin to get out of burn. Poison, which puts 1 damage counter on between turns, and Confusion, so that they've got to flip a coin and flip a heads in order to actually be able to attack, which is not going to be the easiest thing to do, and if they flip a tails, they take 30 damage instead. And then, of course, we've got to point out the rather ridiculous combo here with Salazzle, which for 2 colorless energy, 1 twin energy, does 90 damage for each special condition affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. So you evolve up into Butterfree and you do 270 damage, which is kind of amazing. And something this can work if we can keep getting the stage 2 out. Now, the good news is, in Rebel Clash, we got a new Caterpie, and we got a new Metapod, and they both had Adaptive Evolution, which is that ability that lets you evolve straight away. So I can, on the very first turn of the game, go Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfree, boom! I win. Go team. I mean, you wouldn't want to do it on the first turn because you wouldn't have your Salazzle ready, but this is kind of my point. And also, when I say 270, it's not really 270, it's minimum 300, because as soon as you do the 270, they'll then take 20 from burn and 10 from poison, and that's if they don't then get out the active. So you're actually talking a minimum here, absolute minimum of 300 damage, which is awesome. It's just a bit of a pain. And don't get me wrong, the Adaptive Evolution really helps, but it's still asking quite a lot to get rolling. Make no mistake, though, there is absolutely a rogue deck to be made here with Salazzle and Butterfree. I worry that it's too many cards and too much evolution, but if you can get it working, you're going to be one-hit KOing Vs and maybe V-Maxes, and that is something to get a little bit excited about. As for the new Caterpie and Metapod, you don't want to play them. Caterpie does have an amazing artwork by Mitsuhiro Arita, and then 1 colorless energy, search for a Caterpie and bench it. Not absolutely unplayable, but let's not go crazy. And then the Metapod's got an ability that lets it take 20 less damage from attacks. But again, you do not play these, you play the Adaptive Evolution. We'll lose them in a year, at which point Butterfree becomes unplayable. But for now, it's kind of cool. I do think there is potential. Let's give it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. Did I already say that? I don't think I did. And then we finish off with Delcatty, and I'll be honest with you, we have not saved the best till last. Now, the cards here have actually been translated from the lovely Primal Lugia, and it's been translated from Chinese, so take it with a pinch of salt. But what we've got here is 1 colorless energy. Your opponent reveals their hand. Choose a card you find and put it on the bottom of their deck. So it's a little bit of hand disruption, but it is targeted hand disruption. It is hand disruption that you actually get to decide which one you go for, and that is actually kind of cool. But on a stage 1 that you've had to put some effort into getting out, I'm not sure it's going to be good enough. We've then got 2 colorless energy, flip 2 coins, 50 damage for each heads, and again, I just can't get on board with this. I just can't. Because even if you flip double heads, and let's face it, you're almost certainly not going to flip double heads, but even if you flip double heads, you do 100 damage. Well, I'm a fan of Pokemon like Donphan that for a single energy do 120, and okay, fine, bench damage, but you can use Outrages and all of that, you can make it work. The fact of the matter is, 2 energy, 100 damage isn't really good enough. But it's not actually 2 energy, 100 damage. It's going to average out to being 2 energy, 50 damage, which really isn't going to be good enough. And to add insult to injury, you got 100 HP, which leaves you just out of reach of being grabbed with Level Ball. So no, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we can get excited by Delcatty. Skitty for 1 colorless energy does 30 damage, flip a coin if Tails' attack does nothing. I actually like this more than I like Delcatty, because there are going to be situations where there's a 30 HP Pokemon, or there's a 40 HP Pokemon but you've got a Vitality Band, or maybe you're playing around with things like Galarian Zigzagoon and Scoop Up Net, and you can get a legitimate donk here. So I actually like Skitty for weird, crazy donks, but that really is it, I'm afraid. Delcatty, I'm going to give between 2 and 3 Wassies. There is still a tiny bit of potential, and the potential essentially is I get my opponent down to a low hand, and I'm manipulating their deck, and then I get rid of their only supporter or something like that. It's not unplayable, but it's not a million miles away, ladies and gentlemen. You have been warned. So there we go. That's a lot, right? It's a lot of new stuff. A lot of new cards, and now it's over to you guys. I want to know which of these look good to you. I want to know which of these don't. I think Dunsparce taking away your weakness could be really good. I think Skate Park could be good in the right deck. I think Butterfree could lead you to a really nice rogue deck. There are things here to get excited about, but I want to know which ones you are excited about, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.